So I'm sitting here talking right now with the two busiest ladies in the Mini-Cassia area. We've got Brittany and Jessie here with the Burley Farmers Market. We're at the East Park here in Burley. Of course, that is where the Burley Farmers Market is being held. And this is the inaugural edition, I guess you could say, of the Burley Farmers Market. So, Brittany, tell me something. I know one of the big things about cooking and things these days is farm to table. Could you explain to us what exactly farm to table is?
Farm to Table is an amazing program teaching youth in school programs as well as all the way up to the adults of where your food comes from. A lot of people go to the grocery store and they think that's where their meat comes from. They think that's where their produce comes from, and we're trying to teach them your produce comes from the ground and this is where it is. So farm to table teaching the resources on how to garden, how to
just that connection all the way through from farmer to purchase. So
dirt on the fingers, right?
Yeah, and kids,
that's what we like.
Kids will go into the garden and eat a carrot out of the garden,
right,
and they won't touch a carrot in the store.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that whole hand, like Jessie said, the touching of it to your table.
So we've got farm to table going on, and here at the Burley Farmers Market, Jessie, what kind of vendors do we have here?
Man, we have so many vendors. We've just been working tirelessly. So we've got produce vendors, and we've got fresh local honey, we've got meats, fresh eggs, we've got all kinds of artisan goods, baked sourdoughs, grain breads, spelt, we've got radish, all kinds of things, earrings, clothing, jewelry, so
woodwork.
We've got woodwork
Tons
as
of
well.
woodwork.
You know, and I think one of the things too to note about a farmer's market, it's very seasonal. So if you come one time and you don't see what you're looking for, it's really good to come back and check it out again, because there'll be a total different offering. A lot of the same stuff as well, but there'll be a different offering as things come into season. So Brittany, what's the benefit of buying from a farmer's market?
100% is you are supporting our locals. You are supporting our entrepreneurs, everybody who's trying to succeed and trying to showcase their uniqueness and everything that they can provide to a community. Everything is different. So we might have two woodworkers, but each one is going to present something different and very unique for you. So having all these is just come, you support them, and number one, supporting our community. All of these vendors are local, Mini-Cassia area vendors. So coming and supporting our local entrepreneurs is the best thing.
And you know, one statistic that bears mentioning right now, every time you spend $1 locally, that will rotate 14 times in the community. So spending local dollars is extremely important. And speaking of dollars, you guys have a way to kind of double up on your bucks.
We do. It's one of the programs that we love so much. It's called Double Up Food Bucks. It's a government-funded program. So where at the grocery store you would spend $1 on produce, here that dollar turns to $2. So you double your money here spending local. And the other thing that's so great about a farmer's market is that it's picked fresh. So not picked green. These tomatoes aren't picked green. These are picked today, most likely, from someone's garden, fresh in their perfect form. So really exciting.
I'm excited.
Something we look forward to.
It's great. So I think it's time. Let's go check and see what we can find. So Brittany has brought us over here to River Valley Family Ranch, and we've got Andrea here. So tell us a little bit about your operation at River Valley Family Ranch.
So we're fourth generation. This is fourth generation at raising lamb. We raise it here locally and have it harvested at a USDA facility, so it's all been inspected. We offer chops, rib chops, loin chops, leg of lamb, half lamb, ground, let's see what else, shanks, liver. Yes, we have organ meat too, and stew,
Dog
and
scraps.
kebabs, and a few dog scraps, yes. And shoulder chops and shoulder ribs.
Excellent.
So we have a lot of different options for you.
Okay, so we're here at the Burley Farmers Market right now, and we're planning a dish, and I'm wanting to do a grilled lamb dish. What would you recommend for that?
So for grilling, I recommend more your shoulder or your loin chops or your rib chops. If you want to do something more braised, then you would go with your shoulder chops or your legs. We also have kebabs, which is the leg that we've cubed up, which is great for grilling too.
Awesome. All right, so I think we'll take the loin chops. How does that work?
Okay, that sounds great.
All right, that'll work.
Okay,
It's over here to Viola's Victory Gardens, and we're talking with Jeffrey. Jeffrey, tell us a little bit about what you do with your produce.
So we're a farm located in Twin Falls, Idaho. We started last year in a backyard garden and have since expanded to an acre and a half, and we are hoping to continue to expand. This year's been a little rough with the weather,
Right.
so Produce is a little slower this year, but we primarily focus in greens is what we do. So we do have some tomatoes and cucumbers, some peppers coming on, but lettuce and spring mix and roots and kale is what we focus in on.
Look at the size of those radishes and the color you get out of those.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep.
All right, so we're planning a dish, and what we're going to do, we're going to do some grilled white chops of lamb. What would you recommend that we would maybe put with that to make it work well?
So one is our turnips. They kind of have a horseradish flavor to them, a sweet horseradish, so they'd be great on top. You can saute them in butter, or you can do them just straight raw.
Yeah.
And then the other one that we suggest is our pea shoots, which are basically the pea greens off of a plant. So they're juvenile, so they're very small, very tender, very powerful in flavor, so a little bit goes a long ways on those.
So are we going to expect something sweet, something savory out of these?
I would say savory, and then I would say kind of a spicy savory out of the turnips as well.
Oh, that's going to make a nice combination. All right, Jeffrey, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time.
no
We really
problem.
appreciate
Thank
it. All right, and Jesse has brought us over here to Adwater Farms, and we've got Danielle here. Danielle, tell us a little bit about what you do at Adwater Farms.
We are produce. We do anything edible mostly. We try and keep everything as natural as possible. We do more of a biological farming, so we focus a lot more on soil and health that way to benefit the plants. So we don't use any chemicals. Everything is added through the soil through compost.
How
and
cool is that?
permaculture.
Yeah. So
That
now,
kind
would
of
you
stuff.
consider that biodynamic?
Yes.
Yes, biodynamics. Okay, so what kind
It's
of
a very
products?
symbiotic relationship we have.
Very good. So what kind of products are you offering here at the Burley Farmers Market?
Today we've got a lot of greens. We've got kale and chard and beet greens and lettuce mixes and some cabbage and some kohlrabi and just kind of some different things like that.
Awesome.
Herbs.
Okay, so we're planning a dish, all right? We're going to put together some grilled lamb loin chops, and we've got some pea greens and some turnips, but I'm wanting another root vegetable that'll go with that. What do you think would be good?
I think you
These look amazing.
Okay, look at these multicolored carrots, you guys. I mean,
Those
get
are
a
beautiful.
close
We
up of
got
those
white and
babies.
like an orange reddish color, an orange and
Yep.
yellow.
Gorgeous.
Those are beautiful.
That's
I think those are going to go very well. So we'd like to invite everybody to come by and visit Danielle here at Adwater Farms and grab yourself something good. Thank you. So Jesse has brought us over here to Old Johnson Farms, and we've got Katie here. Katie, tell us something about what you guys do at Old Johnson Farms.
I raise chickens.
I mean, look at these eggs.
And you
These
have a
come
little,
straight from the coop too.
and you have a special name that you call those, right?
Yeah, from the coop.
From the coop.
From the coop.
From
The
the
right.
eggs are from the coop. The
And-
eggs are from the coop.
So we got the eggs, and then I see a lot of greenery around here.
I do. I've got some herbs from the garden, and some yarrow from the garden, and I got it. Should be here.
Oh yeah.
Yummy radishes. Just keep
Look
them on
at
the
Oh,
coop.
wow.
So
Those.
we got some radish.
Jams?
We've got some
How many
tomato
jams?
plants, some cabbage plants, and then we've got some yummy jams and jellies from the kitchen.
Awesome. So what we're doing, we're putting together a dish from everything here at the farmer's market, and I wanted to add a little bit of an aromatic component to our lamb dish. Do you have any recommendations of something that would work well with that?
You know what? Mint goes really well with mine.
Mint and lamb, it's a classic pairing.
Yeah.
It is.
So we'll get some of that mint from you, and then we'll make that up. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time out and for helping us out here today, and for providing some great stuff for our community. Back here with Brittany, she has brought us to Lazy Bakes, and we're talking with Sandra right now. Tell us a little bit about what you do at Lazy Bakes.
I started it about a year and a half ago just to make some extra money to help support my kids and to do my cookies, and I started selling them because I eat them all instead.
Right.
And so now I sell them, and this year I decided to start selling my jam too.
You know, and that's one of the great things I want to bring up too about like a farmer's market. You're doing this, you know, to help pay your bills, to take care of your family.
Yep.
And that's why it's super important to do business with people at a farmer's market, because that's what they're doing. They're just like you and I, trying to make ends meet. So we're putting together a lamb dish today,
Okay.
and I'm thinking about making some kind of a glaze and a sauce, and I need something sweet to go with that. What would you recommend?
Lamb, I would probably go, my first thought is one of the mixed berry or blackberry
Okay.
or apricot.
All right, well, I think maybe the blackberry sounds really good.
Okay.
Tell us a bit about where do you source your fruit?
Most of my fruit is locally grown. The plums I got from a lady in my ward at church. The apricots come from my own tree. The blackberries come from here in Burley.
Nice.
So most of it is from here.
Local source right here at the farmer's market. So thank you so very much. We look forward to eating your jam.
All right, thank you.
I am super excited. This is everything that I'd hoped that it would be. Tons of produce, tons of awesome people. And like we were talking to the one lady, you know, she does this to support her family. So it's a really great opportunity for you to come out and make your dollar local. It's really important to do that. Now I've got a dish to plan, so I better get with it. Let's head to the kitchen. Well, here we are in the kitchen, ready to get this dish underway. I'm super excited about this, and wow, found some wonderful things at the Burley Farmers Market today. So here we're gonna do, step one, what we gotta do is get the lamb seasoned and ready to go. We're gonna put that on the smoker. Now, a couple of things to remember when you're talking about meat. One of the things you want to do before you put that meat on the pit or in the pan or something like that, you want to bring that up to room temperature. So what I've done, I pulled this out of the refrigerator, and we're going to be letting that come up to room temperature for about 20-30 minutes, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to season that too, and what will happen is when we put the salt on the meat, that's going to bring that moisture up to the top, and that seasonings are going to start going inside the meat so that we can get a really good season. So only going to do two things. We're going to go with salt, and we're going to go with pepper, and I like to use kosher salt when I'm seasoning my meat. So just a little bit of salt right here, and we're going to season both sides of this. Make sure we get a good coating. All right, and then we're going to run a little fresh ground pepper on these. All right, I'll flip this over, and I'm going to season the other side here. Just exactly the same things that we did on the other side. These lamb chops look so good. They're going to be delicious. I can't wait. Just a little seasoning there. And then on with the fresh ground pepper. I'm going to drop my stuff. I really like a lot of pepper, but you can go ahead and season to taste. It's up to you. So there we go. We've got that. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go get my barbecue. I'm going to get it up to temperature. And what we're going to do a reverse sear on the lamb. And what that is we're going to bring it up to an internal temperature, and then we're going to finish it off and get that really nice brown crust on the outside of the lamb. We're going to do that here in the pan. So I'll see you out at the smoker. All right, here we are. We're out at the smoker ready to put our lamb on. And so what I've got my smoker set at, we're at 250 degrees. Now, you don't have to have a smoker to do a reverse sear method. You can do it in the oven if you want to. What we're looking for is to make sure we get the internal temperature of this lamb to about 120 degrees. And then when we finish it off on the sear method, that's going to bring the internal temperature up to about 125 to 130, where it's exactly where you want that for lamb chops coming for the dish that we're going to do. So we're going to put these on the Traeger. We're going to get the thermometer in there so we can tell what our internal temps are. And then we're going to wait for that to come to temp. And what you want to do when you're putting your thermometer in, and I should have taken this out, but you want to put that in like the fattest part of the meat that you can find. And so we're just going to set that right in there. Make sure we get an internal temperature of 120. Make sure that's good. All right, we're going to close the Traeger, and now it's all about waiting. We'll see you back in the kitchen. All right, here we are back in the kitchen. We have got our lamb. It's up to temperature right now, about 125 degrees. Went just a little bit, so it really fast. Like I said, you can do this in the oven if you wish to. Just make sure you get the internal temp. So what we've got going on right now, we've got my pan really hot, and we're just going to give this a sear. And you hear that sound? That's what we want to hear. And what that is that just creates, if you want to get like technical, it's called the Maillard reaction. It causes that to caramelize on the outside and going to give us really good flavor. So we're going to get that seared up. And then while that's kind of starting to sear, I've got my turnips. We've got them chopped up. I just cut them up, put them in half. I'm going to add a little bit of salt here to the water, and we're going to turn them up. We're going to get them boiled. They're really super tender actually, because they're really fresh, and they're really great. The produce is amazing. So all we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get that up to a boil, and then we're going to put those in the blender, and then we're going to make our puree. So that's what we're going to do. So like I said, once we get this the meat seared up, we just want to get that brown reaction. I'm going to turn my stove down just a little bit. And it's starting to get there. All right, got that going on. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and make the gastrique as well. So I got to get a pan out real quickly. Should have done that prep already, but it is what it is. Gonna get just a touch of water right there. Come over here to our stove. Check on my meat. See how we're getting that brown? That's what we want. And Burrell, she says brown food tastes good, and that's what we want. Make sure that that gets seared up really well. We're gonna come here with our blackberry jam. I put just a touch of water, maybe 3 tablespoons of water in that. Then I'm gonna grab a spoon here really quick, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get about 3 tablespoons of our, it's a little warm in my kitchen today. You can see I'm sweating. So I think we're gonna go ahead and turn these. Those look really, really good. Okay, pardon me while I kind of give me a wipe here. It's a hot day. Letting those sear. I'm gonna bring this up to temperature. And what I want to do is I want to get all this blackberry jam. I want to get this melted into the water. And then we're going to add some balsamic vinegar. Oh man, I wish you could smell this, that lamb. It smells super, super good right now. And yeah, so we just want to make sure that that's well incorporated into the water. And then after we add the balsamic vinegar, we're going to let it reduce down just a little bit. All right. Check on our meat really quick. Yeah, that looks really good. Looks good. I think we're ready to move that off. So one thing about meat too, when you're cooking meat and you want to bring it off the, you want to bring that off the heat, and then you want to let it set for about 10 minutes. And what that does is it causes all the juices to go back into the meat fiber. So when you cut that out, all the juice won't just run out on the plate. It's going to actually be inside your meat. So that's what we're looking for. You can actually come over here if you'd like. And we're starting to get that going pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and add probably about 3 tablespoons of the balsamic vinegar. And a gas streak is pretty much like a sweet and sour sauce, if you will. All right. So we're going to make sure that that gets all worked in there. And right now, what I want to do is, look at that nice glossy color. And one of the things too about cooking, always be tasting. So I need to grab a spoon over here real quickly. Grab a couple here. And I'm going to make sure, hey, that I got the sweat out of my eyes again. And I'm going to make sure that I got a good balance between the sweet and the savory. Okay, it's starting to boil now. And one thing you'll notice when you're doing a gas streak, it really gets aromatic. That balsamic vinegar really, really gets into the air. And it'll, if you stick your nose right over this pan, I guarantee you, it's going to knock you out. A little bit tart. So I'm going to add just a touch more of our jam that we got there so that we can balance out that tartness with the sweetness. Because in cooking, you know, that's what you're going for. You're going for really, really good balance. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to throw some of this mint in there, lamb and mint. It's a classic pairing. I'm going to put that in whole because here in just a little while we're going to sieve it out. And then I'm going to take some of our pea shoots and that's going to go in there as well. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get those aromatics into our gastrique so that, you know, we can just add complexity of flavor to the dish that we're making. And that's starting to look really, really good right now. So I'm going to go ahead and give it another taste. I'm going to turn down just a little bit. You want it to roll as a simmer, but you don't want to scorch those sugars and caramelize on the bottom of your pan. One of the reasons I keep stirring it, and we want to get those aromatics in. So I'm going to go ahead and take another taste. Yeah. Oh, and those aromatics come into that so good. Just gonna let that cook down and reduce down just a little bit, and waiting on our turnips to get going. They should be boiling here in a minute. So you can see it's kind of starting to get a little bit thick. Doesn't look so good right now because we have the aromatics in there, but like I said, we'll sieve those out. And again, hang on. So what's really interesting, those pea shoots, really good. They bring a really nice kind of freshness into that gastrique. And as this cools down, the sauce, it'll thicken up this gastrique will. Or our sweet and sour sauce, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. All right, and our turnips are starting to boil. So if you hold on, I'll be right back. Come in here with our blender. Should have had this ready already, but you know. Man, that. Okay, I need to get a fork here, and what I want to do is I want to test our turnips for tenderness. Yeah, they're still just a little bit hard, so we're going to go ahead and let them boil a little bit longer. And I think our gastrique is about there. Normally a gastrique's done with like sugar and vinegar, but the sugar source was our jam. All right, very good. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and let those turnips get to boiling. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, here we are. We're back, and our turnips have gotten soft. So we're going to make the puree right now. Take those off, and we'll get these drained off. You want to drain all the water off. You want to make sure that you get them till they're just tender, because if you boil them too hard, you're going to saturate with water, and we want to avoid that. So the turnips, they're going to go directly into the blender. Oh, I'm going to drop one on the floor. It's all right. So we're going to go ahead, and I want to add just a little bit of milk. What that's going to do, it's going to give the puree a nice little creamy texture. Not too much, maybe about, say, 2 tablespoons worth of milk. And I'm going to go ahead and get these blended, and then we'll season them. So perfect. And I always take my blender off when I'm doing my tasting, because if you hit the button, you know, bad things can happen. So all right, so we'll go ahead and season them. I'm gonna put a little bit of salt in, and just a touch of pepper. That blended in. What we really want is the flavor of the turnips to shine through here. So we're not going to add a whole lot of fancy seasonings, because that earthiness and the sweetness of the turnips right now is really super good. So go ahead and taste again. Spot on. So that's ready to go. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna get our carrots ready. And our carrots, these are just such fine, really soft, delicate carrots. We want to retain some of the crunch in them, but what we want to do, you remember I said earlier that brown food tastes good. We really want to get a nice little, char, if you will, on the outside of these carrots. So we're just going to go into the pan with them. We're going to go dry. Got a little pea shoot there. And then we're going to get ready and we're going to start plating our dish here. So, yeah. Okay, make sure we get that. And then once we get those charred up, we're going to go ahead and we'll be right back. All right, so we got our carrots charred and we're ready to start plating our dish. So the first thing we're going to start with is our puree. Now, depending upon your taste, you can make your puree thicker or thinner. Just depends on what you like. You can add more turnips. You can use heavy whipping cream, whatever you want to make your dish the way you want it. So we're gonna lay down our puree. We're gonna come in here with our lamb chops. Lamb chops, we're just gonna set that right down on our puree. Just like that. Okay. Come in with our gastrique. And you can see how nice and thick that's gotten. Just a little right over the top. You don't want too much because I'll promise you the gastrique, it is pretty strong. We'll come in here with our carrots now. Get those put on the plate. Those are beautiful. Look at those. Those turned out really, really nice. All right. That goes to the sink there. And then finally, we'll come in with some of our pea shoots, a little bit of garnish, sprinkle some around, and a little bit of our gastrique around the plate, and there you go. We got lamb chops, reverse seared, on a turnip puree with roasted carrots. Thanks for joining us.